Hi, I'm Siddharth. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Appbase. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm one of those CEOs who still writes code. So Appbase is a Techstars 2015 cloud startup, and in my previous life, I have been a computer science major with work experience spanning Google, Carnegie Mellon University, and as an infrastructure engineer with a Techstars 2013 startup. The talk today that I'm going to give is about building an open source database for the real-time web. And I would like to talk a few things about why we are building this and why I want to give a talk on this. So there are a huge number of databases of every kind, SQL, NoSQL. There's a ton of variety when you even look at the NoSQL databases. There's the JSON-based document format popularized by MongoDB. There are some graph databases doing some really cool stuff out there. There is a fundamental mismatch in how we build applications today versus how databases operate. So I want to highlight this as the first point. And this mismatch is so fundamental that we have to build a real-time retrieval method with our existing databases. So let me show you some trends. So the first trend is that we have been ever shifting to a more event-driven interface, the way of programming. And this has happened since the introduction of Ajax by Gmail. And this is much more popular today with the introduction of WebSocket protocol and libraries like socket.io. The second part is that we have stopped pushing pages and we have started pushing data. Now this trend has been popularized due to two specific reasons. One has been that client-side frameworks like AngularJS or Ember.js have been getting a lot of popularity, meaning on the web server side, we don't have necessarily to push anything beyond just JSON data. The second trend responsible for this has been the growth we are seeing in mobile apps and Internet of Things. Over there, it's really tough to maintain dozens of client libraries for each of the new platform coming out. The second factor is the hardware hasn't been good enough to support browsers and more powerful client-side frameworks. So we have been shifting more and more towards REST-based APIs. The fundamental mismatch that happens with a database today is how we do queries. So typically how databases work is you send a request for a query and you get a response. Now you redo the request to get a real-time update of the data. It works by polling, and this doesn't scale. This doesn't match with the way we program event-driven interfaces on the web, on the mobile, on Internet of Things, on all the platforms. So it's very clear that we need a real-time retrieval, but you might wonder why build a database just for that? Isn't it just easy to use a PubSub-based event system on top of an existing database and build a real-time retrieval method? You would be surprised, but the answer here is an astounding no. So if you figure the parts that are needed to build a real-time interface, let's boil it down. There are three components. One is that, yes, you need to have a caching or a messaging infrastructure, something like RabbitMQ or Redis. Now, what you do is use the database oplog, get all the data into your messaging infrastructure, make sure you have channels that interact in real time. But this is not good enough. There are no queries here. You cannot do any complex stuff. So to provide any sort of complex queries which operate in real time, what you would need to do is essentially reroute the logic so that when new piece of data arrives into the database, you can make sure that it satisfies all the existing filter and return this data to the end query. This is a complex feat of engineering. Now you have to do both 1 and 2 while making sure that the underlying database guarantees that you are getting, whatever that is, are still intact and the whole system scales out. This is really tough, and most people never do it. They make compromises in how applications are made. Uh, we built Appbase from ground up to solve these three core issues. And in addition to that, we wrap all of these in an elegant REST API. In my next part of the talks, I want to compare how Appbase performance compares to everything out there. What can a user expect when they are building a real-time app? And then showcase some applications that have been built with us, essentially showing what real-time queries can do, like with a very complex interface, showing how data streaming could work with an Internet of Things device, and lastly showing if there is a multiplayer game with real-time dashboards, how to perform real-time computes on top of that. I'm looking forward to talk at OSCON, and thank you so much for watching this. Have a good one.